A celebrity's death can either cement their legacy as a beloved legend or a terrible person. From Princess Diana to Jeffrey Epstein, who suspiciously died before facing trial for sex crimes against minors, here are 7 celebrities whose death determined how the world remembers them, starting with Kobe Bryant. He was famous for being one of the greatest basketball players of all time, winning an impressive 5 NBA championships and 2 Olympic gold medals between 1996 and 2016. But tragically, his retirement was cut short as he died on January 26, 2020 at age 41 in a helicopter crash caused by poor and foggy weather conditions. Immediately, people around the globe mourned his death, remembering all the good he brought to the world with his kindness and inspirational Mamba mentality. Kobe famously said that he played every game as if it were his last because there are families in the crowd. This will be the only time they get a chance to see you. They save up their hard-earned money to watch you perform. During his short retirement, he focused more on fatherhood and personal growth and went on to win an Oscar for his short film, Dear Basketball. At the same time, he became a vocal supporter of the WNBA and girls basketball, mentoring young female athletes and bringing attention to gender equality in sports. But it wasn't just things surrounding basketball that Kobe was admired for, because in December 2019, Kobe was seen wearing sweatpants and a hoodie while helping out victims of a major car accident in Newport Beach, California. Kobe Bryant was a real-life superhero. That's someone who showed money doesn't change you from being a good person. This set of circumstances was eerily similar to the foggy conditions during that car accident from earlier, and foggy conditions when his helicopter went down. I never once cried for a celebrity or athlete passing, but the passing of Kobe hit different. Even after his death, the world continued to celebrate his impact as fans flooded social media with tributes, murals went up around the globe, and Mamba Forever became more than just a phrase. He may be gone, but his legacy will never die. While Kobe Bryant will be remembered for his championship mindset and kindness forever, Jeffrey Epstein cemented himself as a disgrace. He gained celebrity status due to his immense wealth gained from mysterious sources and close relationships with powerful clients like Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton, later amplified by his 2019 arrest for operating a sex trafficking ring involving underage girls. However, on August 10th that same year, and just a day after new details were unlocked about the case, Epstein was found unresponsive in his Manhattan prison cell with marks on his neck. His death was marked as a suicide, but there's something weird about his death. No funeral, no photos, a vague autopsy, and no recording of him in his cell at any time. Additionally, the cameras outside his cell mysteriously malfunctioned that night, and while he was on suicide watch, he committed suicide, they watched. Still today, many believe that Epstein's death wasn't just a suicide, but a well-orchestrated cover-up to save the high-profile figures linked to him. His death became a sensation, with the numerous Reddit theories and memes taking up the internet, and the Epstein Island buzz only amplified the speculation, as people connected the dots on the web about powerful figures involved. His case also received renewed attention from the media after the 2020 Netflix documentary Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich was released, which took an in-depth look at his crimes. Speculation about his death ran wild, with public outrage intensifying to the point that even the FBI faced significant pressure to disclose Epstein's client list. However, this attention escalated when Donald Trump promised to make the list public once he became president, which hasn't happened yet, further fueling skepticism. Even after all the media coverage, people's perception of Jeffrey Epstein is that of an evil man. And while Epstein's death left the world with a very scandalous legacy, Princess Diana's death transformed her into a symbol of grace and compassion. She was born into British nobility and earned the title of the People's Princess for her humanitarian efforts and a strong connection with the public. However, as the Princess of Wales, she was the center of intense media scrutiny and public judgment. By 1996, Diana and her husband divorced, and although she lost her royal title, she gained the freedom to be herself. Except with this freedom came even more media obsession and stalking from the paparazzi. Things got so out of hand that on August 31st, 1997, after a dinner in Paris, a gang of paparazzi on motorbikes began chasing Diana and her group. In an attempt to escape, Diana's driver sped through the streets before crashing in a tunnel, killing almost everyone in the car, including Diana. When the news broke out, millions of people grieved, and the gates of Kensington Palace were flooded with flowers, letters, and tears, making her funeral one of the largest public mourning events in history. I am not mourning the death of a monarch. I am mourning the loss of what could have been the most wonderful queen that England has ever seen. I just hate it so much that when she finally seemed happy and had self-esteem, she died. She lived in a gilded cage and was so graceful and sweet. Just like Diana, Michael Jackson was a global icon whose life was intensely watched and whose death triggered an even deeper controversy. Known as the King of Pop, Michael was more than just a musician. From his signature moonwalks to creating timeless hits like Thriller and Billie Jean, he became the most famous entertainer in the world. However, his fame came with a dark cloud because in 1993, Michael Jackson was accused of child sexual abuse, but Jackson continuously denied all the accusations. The case was settled out of court with no criminal charges, but it triggered intense media scrutiny and a noticeable decline in his health, for which he became heavily dependent on painkillers. But things were eventually forgotten, until in July 2009, Michael planned a massive comeback tour called This Is It. But unfortunately, he never made it to the stage, as just a week before, on June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson died from cardiac arrest caused by a fatal dose of a sedative given by his doctor. His fans were devastated upon hearing the news, with millions taking to the streets and online platforms to grieve, sharing memories and creating tributes. Still makes me cry. The day the music died. And so for the next 10 years, Michael's legacy would be left relatively untarnished following his death until the 2019 documentary Leaving Neverland was released. In it, the two alleged victims of the 1993 case claimed they were abused for years, which stirred up the old controversies. Supporters of Michael disagreed with the accusations, discrediting the victims by saying, "It's easy to accuse a dead man who can't defend himself. They wouldn't leave him alone until his death and after his death," while others believed the claims and called out that Michael is guilty without a doubt. Death doesn't erase your crimes. His fans just defend him for his music. Although MJ's musical legacy is one that can never be replicated, his controversies definitely left a stain. But the same can't be said for Steve Irwin, who was known for a life lived in positivity. Unfortunately, this beloved personality would come to an end on September 4th, 2006. While filming the documentary Ocean's Deadliest at Bat Reef, Queensland, Irwin was fatally pierced in the heart by a stingray barb. His sudden death at the age of 44 shocked the whole world. Steve made all of us kids fall in love with wild animals. His charisma made you feel like you knew him personally. There will never be another like him. His death was like losing a close mate. Such a solid bloke. R.I.P. Steve. But there was something poetic about it, because Steve died doing what he loved, surrounded by the very creatures he dedicated his life to protecting. And although his death was heartbreaking for his fans, it marked the beginning of a legacy. In the month following his death, Steve's Conservation Foundation, Wildlife Warriors, received $2 million in donations to help continue Irwin's conservation initiatives. However, this was just the beginning of his transcendence into an eternal pop culture icon, having a Funko Pop toy figure dedicated to him, as well as his famous catchphrase becoming a symbol of his enthusiastic and fearless spirit.
Ooh. Oh, crikey.
But his legacy didn't just end with him. His son Robert Irwin followed in his dad's footsteps, appearing on various TV shows, sharing his love for wildlife, and making the world care about animals all over again. Steve's death transformed him from a beloved television personality into a symbol of global change, which continues to inspire people to protect the planet even today. While Steve left behind a global mission, the same can't be said for Bob Ross, whose death brought in a series of hidden legal conflicts that no one really knew. Bob Ross became famous for his PBS show The Joy of Painting, which aired from 1983 to 1994 and taught viewers how to paint landscapes. To most people, he was the soft-spoken painter with a perm and a palette, turning empty canvases into beautiful paintings. Despite being the face of the show, he refused to get paid by PBS, instead choosing to focus more on spreading the joy of art. Bob Ross believes in me more than my family does. This man legit only has positive energy. What a legend. However, on July 4th, 1995, Bob Ross tragically passed away due to lymphoma, and this stirred up a dark past that Bob never really allowed his viewers to see. The 2021 Netflix documentary on Bob Ross's life revealed how he was betrayed by his business acquaintances, Annette and Walt Kowalski, who sued the Ross estate and his family as part of an effort to exert total control over his name and likeness. His fans were outraged, looking at the real truth behind the brand, saying, "They have stolen Bob Ross's name fame and his legacy. I can't believe those people did that to him. Under Kowalski's leadership, Bob Ross's name was aggressively marketed, leading to the creation of numerous merchandise items. Although this expanded his reach, it also sparked criticism that his image was exploited against his wishes. What started as a genuine journey of teaching art soon after his death spiraled into a business and commercial empire. However, the internet embraced Bob Ross in a different way. His soothing energy and positive vibe has turned him into a meme icon, with countless heartwarming memes flooding platforms. Twitch even hosted a Bob Ross marathon, introducing a new generation to his calming videos and art lessons, while YouTube was filled with viral videos of people attempting to recreate his masterpieces. Despite the mess behind the scenes, Bob Ross is still remembered for his calm spirit, kindness, and his legacy for making people feel that painting is a therapy. Meanwhile, Paul Walker's legacy cemented him as one of Hollywood's most beloved action stars. He began his career as a child actor and eventually became a fan favorite for his role as Bryant O'Connor in the Fast and Furious series. However, at the peak of his career, the least expected thing happened. On November 30th, 2013, Paul was riding in his Porsche Carrera GT, which was driven by his business partner, Roger Rodas, as they made their way to an event. Official investigations reported that Rodas was driving around 93 miles per hour in a posted 45-mile-per-hour zone before the pair lost control of the car, crashing into a light pole, then trees, and subsequently being engulfed in flames. His sudden death sent shockwaves through the industry, and his fans were devastated upon hearing the news. Nearly 10 years later, and I'm still hurting as a fan. R.I.P. legend. Paul Walker was the sweetest, kindest, humblest man that ever set foot on this earth. May God rest his soul. Tributes poured in from around the world, highlighting how much he was loved for his contributions to film and philanthropy. Even after his death, his nonprofit organization, Reach Out Worldwide, continues to expand Paul's mission with his brother's active involvement in its operations. His daughter, Meadow Walker, established the Paul Walker Foundation in 2015 to honor his love for the ocean, animals, and humanitarian causes. But his legacy didn't just end with charity. In the same year, See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth became a global tribute to Paul Walker, playing in the final scenes of Furious 7. The song broke streaming records, spent months in the charts, and became one of the most watched YouTube videos of all time. Paul Walker's tragic death ignited a never-ending legacy from on-screen fame to real-world impact, which continues to save lives even today. And his story proves how a celebrity's death can have a profound influence on their legacy.